is unemployed. Despite the fact that he has a 300 IQ, it seems like Tails is still not able to land himself a job. In Sonic Adventure 2, in the Mission Street stage, where the heroes are now wanted by the government for breaking into Prison Island, there is a wanted poster for Tails. And one of the details about this wanted poster lists what Tails' occupation is, and that is none. So I guess it's a tough job market out there. No matter how qualified Tails is, he's still officially unemployed. Did you know that Nintendo was upset with Sega for a very petty reason during the development of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games? Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, it's almost kind of crazy to think that this collab is even real. Two legendary platformer mascots in the same game together, but it's not even a platformer game. It's basically a party minigame simulator. So during the development of this game, Sega veteran Ryoichi Hasegawa, who worked on the Wii and the DS games, said that Nintendo insisted that Sega has to change the artwork set to be used for the game's cover that depicted Mario's foot placed behind Sonic's. He said that there was one small error and Sonic's foot was in front of Mario's foot, and Nintendo demanded that we change the priority. And then he was asked if Sega agreed to the change, and he said of course he made the change for Nintendo. He said, oh my god, we have to change it or there will be no deal. Who would have thought Nintendo would be so petty? But considering the way Nintendo's lawyers work, I guess it makes sense. Did you know that leftover beta elements from Sonic Frontiers feature Classic Sonic and Shadow? So if I made this statement without any further elaboration or context, you would think that I'm trying to imply that Classic Sonic and Shadow were actually planned for Frontiers. I'm here to be the bearer of bad news and tell you that that is not actually the case. But there's a reason for why they were in the beta elements. So as you all know, Sonic Forces is the game that came before Sonic Frontiers. When Sega was developing Sonic Frontiers, they reused codes and graphics, and they basically built Frontiers using Sonic Forces as a foundation. So we all remember how low budget Sonic Forces was, so a lot of the communication from the characters was with these little talking head bubbles in the corner of the screen usually. And if you look at the beta files of Frontiers, this is where it gets pretty interesting. The head icons from the playable characters in Sonic Forces have been left over, so you see images of Super Sonic, Classic Super Sonic, Shadow, as well as Classic Sonic. So it's pretty interesting to see that these are in the files of Frontiers, despite the fact that these characters, other than Super Sonic of course, don't actually appear in the game. So yes, technically in the files, at one point in time, Shadow and Classic Sonic were in Sonic Frontiers. Just not the way you think. Did you know that Sonic Rumble made a skin that references Dr. Eggman concept art? So this right here is the brand new skin that Sonic Rumble teased. It says Eggman's hype for Pajamas Day, Metal Sonic not so much. Father-son bonding is a work in progress, and you'll notice that he's wearing these cozy PJs. This skin is a direct reference to the original Dr. Eggman concept art, but it's not just any concept art because there's a little bit of interesting history behind this. In April 1990, when Sega was looking to create a mascot to rival Super Mario, this is what they came up with, a mustache man in pajamas. Eventually, they set that design aside and used Sonic the Hedgehog instead, and then the rest was history for Sega. But it's kind of interesting to note that Dr. Eggman, the series' most notorious villain, was initially conceptualized to be the protagonist. Did you know that in Metallic Madness in Sonic CD, there are no Metal Sonic holograms? The Metal Sonic hologram appears in Sonic CD, and it portrays Metal Sonic typically stomping out an animal and just being an absolute villain. They were set up by Dr. Eggman to trick the animals into thinking that Sonic, and not Metal Sonic, was actually evil. So in gameplay, you can find these Metal Sonic holograms in every single zone in the past, and you can also destroy them, but there's one particular level where you don't actually see them, and that is Metallic Madness. And why exactly is this? Well, I don't think it's explicitly stated, but if you think about it, the level before this is Stardust Speedway, where Metal Sonic gets defeated. So now that Metal Sonic is out of the picture, in the next level, there are no more Metal Sonic holograms. But that's just a theory. Did you know that there's a canceled Sonic movie called Sonic the Hedgehog Wonders of the World? Sonic the Hedgehog Wonders of the World was an unfinished film adaptation based off the Sonic series, which began development in 1994. The plot of this movie centers around a kid named Josh, who is playing the Sonic Extreme game, and the main character of the game, Sonic, becomes sentient and stops responding to Josh's controls and eventually comes into the real world. Due to the fact that he's no longer in the video game, he starts to lose his powers, but Dr. Eggman also escapes this video game, and he manages to take over the world. The film ended up being canceled due to a disagreement with Sega. Sounds like an interesting concept, but by the end of 1995, this was scrapped. It's been stated that Bean the Dynamite's father is a character from a different Sega game. Bean the Dynamite is a character that vaguely appears in the Sonic the Hedgehog series sometimes, with his first appearance being in Sonic the Fighters. But for the most part, he's been sidelined for like the entirety of the franchise. He also made an appearance in Sonic Mania, but allegedly Bean's dad is the protagonist of the Sega game called Dynamite Ducks. Dynamite Ducks is a side-scrolling beat-em-up arcade game which was created by Sega all the way back in 1988, so this character even predates Sonic. The main character of the game is Ben, who is this blue duck, and just by looking at him, he kind of looks like Bean, right? It's been explicitly stated in the Japanese version of the Fighters Megamix official guide that Bin is in fact Bean's father. Furthermore, it's teased in the IDW comics, which are canon by the way, where there's a panel with Bean and a picture of his dad right next to him. Sega created an anti-Mario advertisement with profanity in it back in 1993. So this right here is a promotional poster design that Sega made in Sweden back in 1993 for toy stores. Clearly, language like this is probably not best suited for a market of children, so they didn't end up going through with it, and the final mass-marketed version did not use this slogan. But Sega did officially create this, so it is pretty cool. The hotel in the original version of Sonic Adventure was supposed to feature a sign that says hotel. So this right here is the Station Square Hotel, which is home of the Chow Garden, as well as the entrance to Emerald Coast, as well as the casino. But you'll notice that there is no hotel sign here, despite the fact that it is a hotel. I mean, look at this guy right here. He certainly looks like a hotel front desk guy, if you will. I don't know what they call them these days. According to a Dreamcast 1999 press kit showing multiple early screenshots of the development of Sonic Adventure 1, this sign right here indicated that the hotel area was in fact a hotel, possibly to help players recognize it easier, but obviously this was scrapped in the release versions of Sonic Adventure as well as the ports. The first ever Sonic fan game was called Sonic Boom. One of the things that are a staple in the Sonic community is the plethora of fan games that have been created over the years. A lot of these games are notorious for being absolutely brilliant, but these are not just a product of like the late 2010s or the 2020s. The earliest Sonic fan game dates back to 1995, and it's actually called Sonic Boom. When you think of the name Sonic Boom, the first thing that usually comes to a Sonic fan's mind is the disastrous Sonic Boom spin-off series. Sure, the cartoon was good, but the original Wii U game was definitely not well received. And honestly, I think changing Sonic's design was certainly a miscalculation, but this was not the first game called Sonic Boom. That title belongs actually to the first ever Sonic fan game. This 1995 fan game kind of resembles those early Flash games that we used to play on our computers back in the day. It features Sonic and Tails, and it's kind of like this side-scrolling arcade experience where you have to pick up apples and throw them at enemies. By today's standards, sure, the game doesn't look great, but you know what? For 1995, I think it's kind of impressive that someone on their computer could create a Sonic fan game when these game developer tools weren't as widespread. The new sprites in the beta version of Sega Sonic the Hedgehog feature Dr. Robotnik's look from the Archie comics as well as the animated Sonic series from the 90s. Sega Sonic the Hedgehog was a 1993 arcade game which featured isometric gameplay and trackpad controls. This game was also the debut for Mighty the Armadillo and Ray the Flying Squirrel. This game features sprites of Dr. Eggman sporting his regular classic design, but in the beta, there's some interesting unused sprites. If you take a look right here, this is Dr. Eggman's appearance from the Archie comics as well as the animated Sonic series that debuted in the 90s, where Dr. Eggman had a much more menacing appearance and looks a little bit different than his classic counterpart. The discovery of these sprites suggests that it's possible that there was going to be a different version of Eggman for territories where the game was released in English. There's an unreleased Sonic educational game. Before the masterpiece that is Sonic Schoolhouse, there was an unreleased educational Sonic game called Sonic Edusoft. Hear me out. In some ways, this game has a lot of concepts that are similar to Sonic Frontiers. If you think about it, you have like an open world hub zone kind of thing that leads into smaller levels, which teach you how to do math, how to solve puzzles, how to spell certain words. The game also even had some platforming elements like some endless runner levels, and it even had a trampoline platforming minigame. So this is literally the educational 2D version of Sonic Frontiers. Unfortunately, this masterpiece never saw the light of day, but what could have been if it actually came out?